Good Friday morning, everybody. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about death row. I became friends with maybe 6 or 7 people on death row, who I do believe is totally innocent of the crimes. And I would like to talk about one guy, especially George Gates, who was kind of a scapegoat and convicted by some snitches inside of there. Um, but I'd like to do an introduction for George so people can understand him a little bit better. George Gates, who's been in prison 38 years, George is wrongfully convicted, sentenced 15 to life solely on inmate snitch testimony for a murder he did not commit. Then, while serving his time, he was at Lucasville during the 1993 riots, where he saved the lives of inmates and 3 guards. Following the riots, due to inmate snitches' testimony, he was sentenced to death for the murder of 2 inmates. The court still upholds this death sentence, even though the inmates that actually committed these murders have come forward and testified George had no involvement in the murder these inmates received. Sentencing for these crimes, yet George still sits wrongfully convicted on death row for 25 years out of the 38 years he has been incarcerated. His original case is finalized. His death row case has been in for over 20 years. I don't think that's normal, everyone, over 20 years. The state has sealed his discovery in this case, meaning George has no possibility of seeing the accusations or evidence against him. Apparently, the state doesn't intend to do anything with the case. They just want to let it sit there, hoping George will die of old age. He is 74 years old. We are asking anyone to come forward that can help in any way whatsoever. Today, George is with us to share. And this was supposed to be the other day. George will be with us tomorrow to share exactly what happened. And if anybody remembers, I forget if it was April of 1996, there was an uprising at Lucasville Riots, partly because the warden's clerk went back to the prisoner population and told them that the warden was going to take all these programming and so forth for them. And really, in prison, you don't have much, so you need something to better yourself, something to keep you busy. I know when I was in there, I didn't go around playing games. I tried to fight my case. I spent a lot of time in the law library. But what's happening now with the Lucasville riots, George has been on death row 25 out of his 38 years. He's 74 now. The prisoners that committed the murders have came forward and said they did not do it, knowing the state would not do anything or change it. And officers, who Case saved, he saved 3 officers. One of them testified that George saved his life and he did not commit the murders. But the state still found him guilty because they had to have people held accountable, so they didn't really care who it was. I'm not going to say all the Lucasville 5 was innocent because I don't believe they all were. But I know George is. And tomorrow we'll be on at 12:30 to share a little bit about his case. Another thing we'll be fighting lately, I grew up in a home where we always supported the death sentence in a Republican home. But as I've gotten older and I started talking to these people, I know the state has put to death innocent people. Because if there's no DNA, and now all you have to do is point somebody out, just point a finger at them, and they're going to convict you, especially if it's a sex charge. Right now, in America, and I just got the statistics yesterday from Charlie Sullivan, the national founder of CURE, 20 million people have been wrongfully accused of sexual offenses and assault cases in the United States. That is really sad because this is supposed to be the country of the free, the country that gives you the fair opportunity and chance, to defend yourself. But in our courts today, you are guilty till proven innocent. And that's kind of sad. That's not how it's supposed to go. I remember sitting in a courtroom in Columbus here, and I was sitting there talking with the judge with another lady, and he said, "Do not come in front of me with a sex case." So, in other words, he was going to already convict a guy, even if he may be innocent. And I'm not saying everyone's innocent by no means. And I do believe people need to be held accountable. But I also believe, they need to take programming to better themselves. They need to, change their hearts and their minds. And once they're able to change, let them rejoin their families. It's kind of sad that these people were, found guilty just by hearsay, and they don't get a chance to come out of the system. Now, we have not in Ohio, I think it's been, 2 years or so that we've executed a person in Ohio. And the governor just ruled that they no longer will use lethal injection, at least to my knowledge, that's what he said. And the state has a choice either to find another way to put someone to death, which there is no other way. That, it's all cruel and unusual punishment. But though there's a way to abolish the sentence, and Senator Antonio is working on that right now, and she's got quite a bit of support from the Republican Party, which I know a lot of people kind of surprised the Republicans are backing. But my philosophy is, we have taken a pro-life stand, which means life is precious from the moment of conception to natural death. So when you kill someone, that's not a natural death, and you tell that person not to kill someone, but then you kill him, it's kind of contradicts what it's supposed to be. Now, I'm really hoping that we can gain some support on this. I think I've interviewed 4 or 5 people from death row, and I got to know them. Sometimes I kind of wished I never would have, because if they're put to death or something, I'm going to feel bad because I became friends with them. But these are the guys I know are innocent. I asked one guy a couple of weeks ago, I said, "I bet everybody in there says they're innocent." He said, "No, most admit guilt, but a big portion of them are very remorseful." So, and there's I believe it's 145 or 135 people in Ohio that's on death row, and 1 female. They will not execute a female in Ohio. They haven't in I don't know how long. I would say probably close to 100 years. But there's 1 in Ohio. She's, close to 80 years old. So I think she's actually the oldest inmate, on death row. And I would say George Gates is the second, at least in the men's section. He's a very nice guy. He wants to help people. Excuse me. I think his hearing's going bad a little bit as he gets older. But he, and he's pretty much stays to himself because he doesn't trust anyone anymore. Because people do like to lie on you while you're locked up, more or less to cover themselves. So if you're willing to join forces with us on wrongful convictions or even the death penalty, please let us know. We do have committees. We have the wrongful conviction committee. We have the death penalty committee. We also have a parole board committee. But things need to change. We need to quit playing God with people's lives. And I know it's wrong to murder someone. I know that 100% it is. But it's not going to change the outcome if you kill this person. Just like I'm not a big supporter of life without parole, but that is better than putting these guys to death. And then they do need a fair opportunity to prove themselves. This guy was already, they already proved his innocence by the prisoners that came forward and said he did not commit the murders. the one guard, and he saved 3 officers' lives, and I think an inmate's life. I can't remember. One of the officers needed his medication, and George went and got his medication and wished him out the back door so he didn't get hurt. I respect him for that. A lot of prisons will let staff die there, but George was a little bit different. And pretty much he gave his life to help the officers because they found him guilty of murder. And our governor in Ohio said, if you're convicted of murder or any sexual offense, you're not going to get early release. So he's pretty much deciding that these people are that they're not worthy to change. There's some things that need to be replaced. One is our governor. With all the people that died in our prison systems in Ohio, and I think it's 100 and some now, but everybody at Marion Correctional caught COVID, and that's out of 2,800 prisoners at Marion. And that includes the camp, the 2,800. And Pickwick Correctional, same thing. The governor was told he needed to release thousands of people. So he came and said, well, release 100 people, but no sex offenders, nobody down on murder. So if you've been down 35, 40 years and have an excellent record, you did not have a chance for early release. That's what's unique about our organization is we don't care about someone's past, but we do care about who they are today. And we're going to, help them out as much as we can. And we're not going to give up on people. There's so many good people out there that is willing to go the extra mile. There's an awesome group called PATH that helps those with pro issues. Ken, if you could post your website down there, that would be beneficial for these people. And then we have one at www.changestartswithusohio.org. Again, that is www.changestartswithusohio.org. And our email is changestartswithusohio@gmail.com. And we would love to network with you. We'd love to have you join forces with us and help and look forward to change. There's so many areas that need to change within our criminal justice system, all the way from the judicial all the way up to the correctional system. And then beyond. The criminal justice system definitely is not fair. There was a prosecutor years ago, he ended up being the head prosecutor too, that would call inmates Hitler, and that was intimidating the jury. He got away with it and calling people out of their names and stuff like that. But O'Malley replaced him. And, some good things we thought were going to happen, but then O'Malley turned out to be the same way. People were not getting a fair trial. Franklin County, we finally made a change for prosecutors, so it's too early to say how that's going to turn out. I'm not going to bash anybody, but I'm going to tell the truth about them. And when I mentioned the governor on those issues, that's the truth. I met Mike DeWine back in the early 80s down in Washington when he was in Congress. Real nice guy. But I think the longer you stay in politics and you have a little bit over 40 years, you change. And these people are not getting a fair hearing. Or really anything. They don't really have much of a chance. So if you would like to sit on any of the committees that I mentioned, the Death Penalty Committee, Wrongful Conviction, or the Pro Board Committee, please inbox me and we can add you to it. And we appreciate you listening, everybody, and have yourself a great day.